Good morning, good afternoon, or good night from whenever and wherever you are watching us. I am Cameron Scandal. That is Steven Treffler. And we are the sound. And we are the styling sound today because, folks, I don't know if you were here, but there was a couple guys on the internet who were talking about, I'm not buying Trevor Lawrence. I'm not buying his performance this season. When they do play better teams, they have a hard time putting up points. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. I think the Trevor Lawrence is going to look really bad and get exposed. That's what's happened to Trevor Lawrence this season. Oh, it was me! It was me, baby! Oh, you know what, Steve? You would think by now people would learn. You would think we would be in a position in society where the world tunes into the sound. Hopefully they're here today. We are happy to have you all with us. We got a lot of good stuff today. Some NFL, some NBA. But first, some things to mention. Number one thing to mention, I can take these off now that I've had my moment. The Buffalo Bills have fired their head offensive coordinator, I almost said their head coach, Ken Dorsey, taking the blame, I guess, for the Bills' problems this year. It's probably not his fault, maybe because of the meme of him slamming the desk up in the booth. I don't know. But Steve, you and I kind of have the same thoughts of this was just, he's taken the fall, but it's not his fault. Yeah, that was really it. That was really our only one singular thing to mention. So yeah, thing to mention. Moving on, though, to our first topic of the day, it is time for everyone's favorite segment, Soundbite. Now, Soundbite, in case you've missed, is a segment where Steve and I react to different clips of just weird stuff happening in the sports world. We got a post-game interview. Someone says or does something that we want to take a listen to. We listen.
I just like to set this up with, as I'm laying in bed watching this game this night, I watched this play happen, and I said out loud, oh, that's something Cam would like to see.
But the Wolves played the Warriors on Tuesday. The Wolves won 104-101 in an in-season tournament game, I might add. And Draymond Green decided to put Rudy Gobert in a chokehold for trying to break up a scuffle that Jaden McDaniels and Klay Thompson had started. It's a whole slew of things, but Draymond is the main point. So let's take a look at this clip from Tuesday night's game.
And so we're scoreless. We'll stay 0-0 the first 2 minutes. And then look at Klay Thompson and McDaniels. What is going on with that? Wow. You've got a full-on fracas going on. Draymond came in to defend Klay. This got out of hand very quickly.
No way Klay should have been ejected. That was ridiculous. So I was upset about that. And then the Draymond piece of it, if you watch the replay, Rudy had his hands on Klay's neck, and that's why Draymond went after Rudy. The guys on the back of the bench were telling us that Rudy had Draymond or had Klay, and that's why Draymond went at Rudy. So that's all I know. But it was, a bizarre way to start the game a minute and a half in.
So there you have it. Draymond putting people in sleeper holds. Klay Thompson and Jaden McDaniels ripping jerseys. And Steve Kerr just not taking responsibility. I forgot to mention that at the start, but threw that in here at the end. Steve, lead us off here. Just your overall thoughts on Draymond's tomfoolery.
You know, when I watched this initially, I could not believe nobody reacted to Draymond with more aggression, with more intensity of the situation. Draymond Green is dragging Rudy Gobert by his neck in a chokehold backwards, and you see a sea of coaches and people trying to break it up. Where? Rudy Gobert's teammates. If I see my teammate getting dragged away in a chokehold, but what I'm really shocked about, Cam, and this is what I need your help to kind of help me understand this a little more. Like, there are things you can do, push, you want to start throwing, hands. To grab a man from behind and crank on his neck like that.
Yeah.
Somebody who's 7 foot tall. Help me understand. I don't know why he did this. It just doesn't. It seems like whenever Draymond gets mad, it doesn't matter. There's no line in the sand for him.
If Andrew Wiggins put Rudy Gobert in that headlock, we would be like, what is going on? But we're like, oh, it's Draymond. We're shocked because of the severity of why he did it, but the fact that we're not shocked that he actually just did it is telling. And I think that is the issue. We are used to this from Draymond Green, and Draymond Green refuses to accept responsibility. He is past his prime. He's not what he was. We've known that for several years now. Draymond is the guy that I think he's mad about it, and he knows he can't do anything, and that is his role on the Warriors as the enforcer, the tough guy, the talking smack, and that's all fine. But this has gone too far. Because even just look at the last time they played the Warriors, and Anthony Edwards went up for that layup. I don't know if you saw his clip, Steve. He was going up for a transition layup, and Draymond hard fouled him. They could shoot, and he's like, "You got to earn that wink, and that's you, blah, blah, blah." Just being Draymond, and that's fine. But even Anthony Edwards was like, there was not a need or necessity at all to put Rudy Gobert in a chokehold and drag him across the court from a fight that was not even that escalated. Exactly. Draymond escalated it. What I think the most telling thing is when you look at Draymond's face, when he has him in that headlock, he's like, oh yeah, I got this guy. Like, Rudy Gobert and Draymond Green have several years worth of beef. Draymond Green finally got an excuse to do something. That is now away from basketball. That is away from being an NBA player. We're now talking about two grown men. One grown man just doing too much to use that as leverage to put hands on someone else and get away with it. And Rudy Gobert didn't fight. He put his hands up, was nothing. And Draymond's a thug. Like, that's what thugs do. That's something you do to not be taken seriously. Punching Jordan Poole in the face for talking smack, because guess what? I think Draymond got his feelings hurt, and he can't back it up on the court anymore. Draymond Green got his feelings hurt against Anthony Edwards because he can't back it up on the court anymore. And because he can't show you, like, Anthony Edwards lit up the the Warriors after the Draymond incident. Draymond can't do that. So what's he have to do? Punch you in the mouth. It is immature, and he, like I said, he posted on Instagram, he's like, or not even just this incident, all the incidents, he's like, I'm just trying to be Draymond. Y'all telling me how I'm supposed to be, but I'm the only one. I know who I am, and I know my role, and I'm going to be me. Like, dude, that's not what you're doing. That is not what this is. And the fact that he sees nothing wrong with what he did is the issue. Draymond has a 5-game suspension starting today of the recording, November 16th. And Clay, McDaniels, and Gobert were all fined $25,000 for their roles in the incident. Steve Kerr. Now, Steve, do you have any thoughts before I continue? Because do you have any thoughts on what Steve Kerr said?
He has always found a way to alibi Draymond Green to come to some defense. And I know as a coach, that's your job. I know as a coach, your job is to always support your players. But one thing that I'll say is there's basketball, and then there's what Draymond does. We can go the whole way back to the stomp on Sabonis. We can go back to the punch with Jordan Poole. I would love to see Steve Kerr come out and for once say, yeah, that's not how we play basketball here.
And that's what I'm going to say. So, Steve Kerr, you're right. It's a coach's job to stick by your guys, to represent them and have their backs, and that's fine. Steve Kerr's very, very good at speaking to the media and being objective when he has to and kind of like not being in the middle of things that don't involve him. But take away the Steve Kerr and the Warriors element, like their tightness. As a basketball coach, Steve Kerr needs to come out at that podium and say, that was unacceptable. Draymond was irresponsible and immature. That shouldn't have happened, and it will be dealt with, and he'll be disciplined. There's no excuse for what happened. There is no, that's Draymond. There is no, well, I heard he put his hands on his neck. No, there is none of that. There was no excuse to condone what Draymond did. And Steve Kerr was just okay with it.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think that the Warriors have some weirdly confident loyalty to Draymond. Like, it feels like the Warriors organization just feels like they owe him everything, which I don't feel like that should be the case anymore.
Well, here's the thing. We talked about this. Well, maybe not that we talked about it on the show, but you and I have. Draymond Green's value is only valuable to the Warriors. And Draymond Green is in his own right is a all-time historical NBA player. He should be a legend and respected as a Warrior for what he does. But on the court as a basketball player for what he's doing, like I said, there's just no room for it. And Draymond can't back up what his persona is with his play. So if he can't be the tough, Draymond Green at one time was, 10, 10, and 10, being the little everything guy, and he was versatile, and that was great. But now Draymond is, I can't do anything, so I have to be physical. People were not having that this should be a 5-game or more suspension. I thought 5 games was
5 is
the
fair.
Minimum, that should have came out of this. Yeah. Because it's not about, and people were saying, well, he didn't throw any punches. Nobody got hurt. It wasn't a fight. It was excessive. It further escalated an incident that was not at that level. No one needed to be doing chokeholds. So, yeah.
No.
Draymond Green doing too much. He got a 5-game suspension. Jay McDaniels, Klay Thompson, Rudy Gobert all fined $25,000 for their roles in the incident. And that is today's soundbite. Just nonsense, once again, from Draymond Green.
Poor taste.
In 10% of all the games that Draymond Green has played without Steph Curry, he's gotten a chance.
My man just doesn't want to play if Steph ain't on the court.
I'm not buying that narrative. I don't believe that at all. I just thought that was interesting. That's a weird, yeah. Moving on to our second topic of the day, something we did a couple weeks ago, but we're bringing back. It is time for the scandal scale, I guess. The name is pending. I made some tiers a couple weeks ago. Video did pretty well, so we're coming back with the second edition of NFL tiers. Some people moved around. We got some different names. We got different colors. Steve, are you ready to see this week's tiers?
I can't wait.
Let's take a look. Here we have the tiers. Brand new edition. We're starting at the bottom, working our way up. Bottom row sleeps with their dad. It just like last time, it just is what it is. These are the worst teams. Not going to get any better. Now, the Packers I had a hard time putting down there, but I don't see them getting any better.
Bad.
Jordan Love is, I still don't know. We said at the third of the season, what are we getting from Jordan Love? And now we're going to be 11 weeks in, and it's like, what are we going to get from Jordan Love? I still really don't know. Second row up, quarterback wanted. All of these teams could be and would be better if they just had a better quarterback. The Rams just can't stay with a healthy quarterback. We know the Raiders have been having problems. Desmond Ritter's absolute dog water, and Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis are just kind of floating around. All these teams, if they had a quarterback, probably would be a little higher on this list, but they don't, so they can't. Next up, no guaranteed dub, meaning if you play one of these teams, should you win? Probably. Are you guaranteed to win? Absolutely not. The Saints have been getting a little bit better every week. Derek Carr needs to figure it out and stay figured out. The Jets are the Jets. Their defense is going to win you most of the games. Zach Wilson plays okay some games and then just trash the next. And the Broncos are on the rise. The Broncos are getting a lot better. I just still don't. I'm not buying it. Next up, devastated fan bases. The Browns and the Colts were on the upward trend. Well, the Colts haven't been for a while, but the Browns were on the way up. The Browns, Deshaun Watson down for the season. It is what it is. It's a bummer. You can't be that good without Deshaun Watson at your quarterback. And the Colts, Gardner Minshew's had him hanging on, but we just know that if Anthony Richardson was there, they'd be in a much better position. So,
especially with Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. Exactly. So these fan bases are just frustrated. So that's where that tier's at. The frisky and fun tier. This one stayed from last week, but all these teams are they're nice teams. They're good little teams to root for. Josh Dobbs and the Vikings. Give it up for him, man. He's been doing excellent up there in Minnesota. Sam Howell's looking like a excellent up-and-coming young quarterback. Kenny Pickett only plays in the fourth quarter for some reason. And you know how we feel about Baker and the Bucs. They're still frisky. They're a great team. Morty, get out of here before I throw you out of here. All right, now that that's out of the way, purgatory. These teams all could be better. They just can't. They refuse to go any higher. They're stuck in that middle ground. The Bills are 5-5, fired their offensive coordinator. Josh Allen's looking iffy. The Chargers beat Chargering, like we've been saying. And the Seahawks, I think they have a very clear cap of how good they can be. Right above them, we got playoff teams. Now, all of these teams, first of all, the Texans taking a huge rise up on these tiers. And these are teams that they're obviously going to make the playoffs. I think that they can maybe win one game, but they're not going to win two. They are good enough to make the playoffs, but they are not good enough to make big noise in the playoffs. I'll put it that way. Because the tier above them, conference chips, are all teams who I think could beat them if they met any of them. Like, I think the teams above them are the real ones who are going in to win big games in the playoffs. The Bengals have been playing great since Joe Burrow got back. Dak Prescott is in the MVP conversation, I guess. He's not top 5 in my opinion, but maybe he's like 8. That's up for debate, just things I've been hearing. And the Lions have been playing really well. Now, I've heard Jared Goff is a top 5, top 6 quarterback. I'm not buying into that yet. But all these teams are great. And if they lost any sooner than the conference championship, I would think they would consider this season a failure. And the top tier, the contenders, same exact ones as last week. These are all the cream of the crop of the conference, 2 AFC, 2 NFC. These are still the clear and best team. We have the Eagles Chiefs coming up on Monday. Going to be a great game. Steve, the new addition to the tiers. I asked for some feedback from middle schoolers today. They all said it was pretty good. So let's see what you think. What do you got for me?
So the first question is, on a bye week, what did the Dolphins do to deserve moving from conference chip to playoff team?
It's not that.
Because last year you said
they were
their conference chip. And then all of a sudden they haven't even played a game, but now you think, okay, they're just a playoff team.
The Dolphins and the Lions switched.
No, you had the Lions up there with them, I thought, last week. Didn't you?
I don't think. Let me look.
But either way, so you have
No, I did not. They were on the third tier last week or 2 weeks ago.
So the Lions and the Dolphins flip. So the Lions beat the Chargers and the Lions move up, even though the Dolphins also. Okay, that's fair. The only other one that I would move, Steelers go up 1 and the Chargers come down 1 for me. Every week we keep looking for something that shows us that they can't keep winning, and every week they keep winning.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, I think that they're more of a purgatory for me, just because you're right. Their defense is a championship winning defense, but their offense is terrible.
I kind of like the Steelers. Like, the Seahawks and the Steelers are similar to me in that I think they have a very clear cap. Yeah. And I think that the Chargers also might have a cap. Like I said, they're not as good as the teams above them, but it's just a higher one. And I think if those two teams played in the playoffs, I would still pick the Chargers to win. That might be just me because I want to believe in the Chargers, but I know that's a good argument. The Steelers.
So are you still kind of on the fence with the Texans as far as like if they're legit contenders, or
they're not contenders?
One of those people that you're like, I don't think
they're a good team.
Okay.
Where I have them is where I think of them. They're a good playoff team. I don't see them winning more than one game because as good as CJ Stroud is, playoffs are a whole different monster. They have a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach. I don't believe in youth in the playoffs. So I think where I have them is just fine. They're a good playoff team who's going to win, maybe win one game, but not two.
The only thing that I'm still like, the Cowboys to me are not proven. I'm sorry. I've seen them play in big moments. They do this all year. They do this every freaking year.
Yep.
They have a moment.
I agree.
There's a moment every season where we sit back and we say, dang, they might be legit this year. They might be real. The Cowboys. And then what happens every year?
We've never said that. But see, that's why they're not contenders. But I think for how good their defense is and for how good their offense is playing, regardless, if they don't make the conference championship, it'd be disappointment. I think we all expect them to make a run at the conference championship at least. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm saying the differences between that tier and the tier below them. You're right. I really, because to go back to the Dolphins point, I did believe that they were a conference championship team, but as the season went on and they just kept proving that they just don't have what it takes to beat those better teams, I just don't know if that's in the cards for them anymore because they're going to have to be one of those teams to get there.
I like these a lot.
Yeah,
Minor changes that I'd make, but that's why it's the sound scale, and this is good.
What do you think of the names?
I love the names. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they perfectly describe these teams.
And I know what people are going to say, and that if they're going to say we're ripping off another popular tier sports segment, and what I'm going to say to those people is, no, we're not. That's all I'm going to say. We're not. This is our own effort. Yep. And it's, frankly, if we're being real, especially this season, it's probably a little better. Let's be honest.
A lot better.
A lot better. So there we go. Scandal scale, Cam's tears, I don't know. Name pending, but there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed. And finally, our third and final topic of the day. It is Sound the Alarm, where Steve and I give you our predictions of who we think is going to be on upset alert for this coming NFL week, NBA game, whatever. We're sticking with the NFL. We're going into week 11. I got one game, Steve. Do you have one game or do you have two games?
I have one game.
You have one game, right? So we each have one game. I
You
don't
go
know if
first.
you want to go first. You want me to go first?
You go first.
All right. So here's what I got. I got the Monday night game. Chiefs-Eagles. The Chiefs are favored by 2.5 points. Not a huge spread, not a huge upset, but listen, I alluded to this last show. There is also a single-digit loss to a contender, potentially. Buffalo just lost to Cincinnati, and the Chiefs play the Eagles next Monday night. That could be a very telling game for both of those teams. So I'm just possibly putting that out there. The Chiefs have not looked excellent. Now, are they contenders? Sure. No one is saying that. And there was a comment on one of the last videos that said, why are we judging the Chiefs for winning when they're still winning? Like, they're the only team that gets judged for when they win games. And that's absolutely, I don't think that's true, because people have said that Jalen Hurts hasn't looked great all season. He's supposedly the MVP right now, last time I saw odds, and the Eagles are still the best, first or second best team in the NFC. People have talked about how Brock Purdy and the Niners don't look great when certain things aren't there. Still talked about as contenders. The Chiefs have won games, absolutely. They haven't looked great while winning them. I think the shittiest way to win, for lack of a better word, is winding down the clock to kick a last-second field goal so you can just technicality of, and this is going to sound silly, of we scored more points. That to me is not a hard, like, that's not you won the game. It's like,
Right.
All right, yeah, you won the game, right?
Agreed.
The Chiefs have just been, yeah, you won the game. Like, you scored more points. You didn't dominate your opponent. You didn't actually go out there and prove. And I think that they're going to, against a good Eagles team, and even though it's in Arrowhead, I think the Eagles have something to prove. I think the Chiefs are going to be kind of exposed similar to Trevor Lawrence. And I think the Eagles are going to upset. Are they going to upset by a lot? Maybe not, but they're going to win that game.
To piggyback off of what you just said, the Chiefs had an embarrassing loss to the Broncos a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
The Chiefs only beat the Broncos 19-8 when they played them previous. They're winning very close games, like you said. And I think the Eagles' defense is severely underrated for how good they really are this year. And I think that they shut down that offense. I just think that secondary is too good.
Now, see, I was just going to say, there is a chance that the Chiefs pass all over us. I do not. Our secondary is supposed to be good. Hasn't been this season. Our line's been great. Secondary's been trouble.
So, for my game, I am going with the Sunday game at 4:30 in Buffalo. I am taking the Jets to upset the Bills on the road. Now, you could sit back and say, Steve, what is wrong with you? Let me give you a couple pieces of information about the last 3 games between the Bills and the Jets, because Josh Allen has only won one of them.
Ooh, love stats like these.
And every one of these games are within a single score. And what do we know about how Josh Allen plays in single score games, Cam?
Yeah, it's not great.
I just told you last night what I think about.
It's not good.
The numbers show themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen is not going to play well against the Jets. The last 3 times he's played them, he has not played well against the Jets. The Jets are going to get the win and move into second place in the AFC East, and the Bills are going to be sitting at 5-6 in third place in the AFC East.
It's a good take. That's a great take. I actually did think about doing it, but I'm like, no, the Bills can beat the Jets. But I don't know, man. I don't know anymore.
They just fired their offensive coordinator. They're in scramble mode like you and me just talked about. Yeah. They're coming in with a brand new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
It's the perfect storm for a win like this for the Jets.
I said to you last night, that they're going to be scrambling for wins trying to get together. And that's when especially when Josh Allen gets out of his element, when he's trying to do too much, which is kind of what he does all the time. So that's not a bad upset. I like that. I think those are two good ones. I was looking through the games and just maybe Titans beat the Jags.
Dude,
I don't know. I don't know.
I want Will Levis to have one of those 300-yard, 4-touchdown games again. That would just make my day.
Yeah. So, but yeah, because we know how we feel about the Jags. And like I said before, Titans are a team where if I don't pick them, they win. And if I do, they lose. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, those are our two sound the alarms for this week. The Eagles beating the Chiefs and the Jets beating the Bills. See if they happen. If you want to make bets, 2 underdogs, put your money on them. Sound guaranteed. Hope you guys enjoyed. And that is going to do it for us today. That is the end of our show. Bringing back the shades to end in style. Folks, we hope you enjoyed the show. We are always glad you're here with us. If you like what we're doing, you want to see more or less of something, let us know. We're always here to listen to the comments, read what you have to say, take your critiques and criticism and your praise. And folks, always remember, if you are ever in need of intelligent or cogent sports analysis, listen to the sound. We will always have you covered. Thank you so much for joining us today, folks. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Stay safe. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.